So a lot of things in Python too, if you do practice good coding, they're going to be translatable over 3. So I do apologize, it needs to be updated to 3. But so this is an introduction to Python. What we're going to do here is, as I've mentioned before, we're going to go through a lot of just the basics to get you started, understand how it works, the different constructs, the different structures, so that you guys can get to work building your own solutions to everyday problems. So my name is Adam Byers. I started off on an Atari 800 XL, 400 XL actually. Hey, come on in, man. And with BASIC, I was about 8 to 10 years old, just kind of banging out my own programs while everybody else was playing out on the soccer field. But language is a sort of a passion with me. PowerShell, DOS, Bash, Python, Perl. I've even done a little bit of C++ stuff. Not my strong suit, but I'm not by no means am I an authority on Python, but I can tell you how to make it work and how to make it work for you. One example of some things that we've done is we've got a dual site cloud solution, and it took us about 3 hours to do the switch over when we first started doing it. Of course, that's going through every step. And by writing a Python solution, we got that down to like 10 to 15 minutes. So that's definitely something we can all kind of relate to. Engineers, devs, we can use it for testing, we can use it for automating manual tasks. So we got 4 segments. We try to split it up into 4 segments, kind of see how that runs. 40 minutes each. I've even got a little bit of a game time in there, so we're going to spend 30 minutes going through. I'll teach you some basics, and then we'll use these games to kind of teach you how to apply real world stuff. Here's the outline. The different setups. If we get to section 4, sort of check this stuff out. Some of the cool stuff that we've done with it. All right, so for setup, and this is just some sort of generic coding suggestions, but you can test short scripts in a terminal with Python. Just type in Python Linux terminal. I usually have a window open just for testing commands. So if I want to know how to work with the base64 module, right, I'm going to look it up, going to kind of see what the suggestions are, and then see if I can make it work there, then plug it into my script. It's much quicker that way than writing into your script and trying to make it work and then going through the iterations that way. So that's a suggestion there. What we're going to try to do this morning is set up a rapid test debug loop. What I mean by that is we're going to have our script, we're going to have a command line to run our script, and then maybe one to kind of test commands, so that we're editing with the script, we're running it, seeing what the outcome is, and either building or debugging based on that outcome. So with text editors, a lot of different ones. Gedit, Idle, Genie, PyCharm. A couple of those are cross-platform. PyCharm was the last one I used on Windows. It's really good. It helps keep in line with PEP 8. What PEP 8 is sort of a standard on, I use it for code beautification or readability, basically. It'll tell you, okay, put 2 spaces before you comment this, things like that. It makes it, keeps your code readable, non-perlified, pretty much. So the terminal, let's see. So that rapid test debug loop is pretty important because you want to be able to test and identify errors pretty quickly. So does everybody have sort of you got Linux up and running, or you got Windows up and you got your text editor? Does everybody have that sort of setup? Hey guys, come on in. Yeah, I'm still trying to get it started. Yeah, that's the kind of environment we want to start up. Okay. So everybody got sort of established?
Yeah, I think.
Okay. I won't move too far with that.
There's also a plugin for Eclipse.
Yeah, a lot of people use Eclipse. It is like the what's it? Basically, what you're looking for is syntax highlighting. So it can help you identify common errors. Like if you misspell, you say you're trying to define a function and you misspell it duff instead of death. It's going to highlight that for you and help you avoid errors. So that's good. So I know Get It will do that. I kind of use that as my go-to. Actually, let's see. It's probably yeah, that's going to be kind of odd. So I'll have that guy on the left. Take the terminals over on the right.
Does it matter if we run this in Windows or Linux?
No, but the setup's what I'm looking for. Where as long as you have a way to run Python commands, to test your scripts and to edit your scripts, that's really what we're looking for. So if we run into any issues, it's going to be with Python standard library, things not being Windows that are in Linux. So we'll work with those if they come up. All right, so this is basically what we're looking for. So I'm going to throw a lot of stuff at you guys, especially you guys that don't have a way to test this. Maybe you don't have your laptops or whatever. Not many people can just pick up everything that is thrown at them in this manner and remember it all. That's why we got the video. No worries, obviously, because I wrote it up there. I carry this book by Brad Daly around with me. If you think of it this way, it's kind of like you've got a dictionary to look up words. Like if you had a Python dictionary to look up a command, and it would say, okay, this is what this command does. This thing's sort of like an encyclopedia where you can look up a subject, like how to parse files or how to work with sockets. Open that up, and he says, okay, this is how you work with sockets. This is how you import the socket module. Blah blah blah. Really useful. Docs.python.org. Anything that's in the standard library there, you can look up. And you've got examples. Let's see if I can pull up something here to give you an example of that. No internet. Yeah. Come on, Firefox. Nice. Firefox is being a little overprotective.
So you just want two terminal windows, Python terminal windows, right?
Yeah. The reason we've got two, one to run it and see the direct output, and then the other one was to quick test commands.
Okay.
Oh, come on, guys. I just want to pull up this site. Right now, nice. All right, while I'm having problems with that.
No, it is.
I know.
I can still see your screen. It makes it feel better.
Hey Jim, if you could let Tom know I'm calling.
Huh? Are we calling you? Or is that...
Alright, so I'm having trouble with the internet, but basically what you can do is go to docs.python.org, and they have every module, say the request module or the datetime module. And you can go and they'll tell you what it's for, they'll give examples, list of the properties and functions that you can perform with that module. It's amazingly helpful. I use it all the time. And getting no love right now at all. My presentation. Yes. Okay. Good. Now, what we're talking about when we refer to the standard library is everything. When you install Python, it comes with a set of libraries that come standard, and so that's what we're referring to. Everything else would be a module that you would have to download with pip. And pip usually comes pre-installed with Linux. If not, you can do apt-get install python-pip, and that'll set that up for you. So let's get started, kind of get this thing rolling. I'm having a little trouble up front. So we're going to be working with building blocks. Now, for a lot of you guys that already are familiar with programming, this is nothing new. So we've got integers, which are numbers, floats, which are fractions and such, and these are the different. So if you take 99.1 and put it in the integer function, it's going to turn it into 99. It's going to turn it into an integer, and then store that in X. So let's take a look. If you guys have internet access, obviously I'm having trouble with that. Take a look and see what the absolute value, the ceiling and floor functions do. So if you take and run the float function on 3, it's going to turn it into 3.0. But that's important because when in Python, if you want to have a fraction, say 42 divided by 10, one of those is going to have to be a floating point number in order to get a floating point number out of the calculation. If not, it's just going to round up or down. So I didn't give that a shot. Let's take x equals 3. X equals 3, right? So we take float x. It's going to turn into 3.0. So if we take 3 divided by 2, it's going to give us 1. Is that big enough for everyone to see? It's kind of blurry for me.
Really?
If you can make it bigger.
All right, let's see. Three divided by 2. If you make one of these a floating point number, it's going to give you a floating point number in return. So that's one thing to remember. I've beat my head against the wall a few times on that. Why will this calculate correctly? Well, because that's one of Python's feature works. So if you guys had a chance to look it up, ceiling floor, that's going to round down and up. Absolute value is going to give you the non-signed value of an integer. Say if you have negative 42 in there, it's going to turn negative 42. So we have strings, and this is how Python works with strings. Let's see, things that would be different from other languages. Let's see, you've got the triple double quotes and the triple quotes to put pretty much whatever you want inside there, including spaces and line returns. I mean, other double quotes and line returns. This is basically how it's structured, so you can say this variable plus a line return plus b, and then it'll print each one of these out. It uses the / to escape characters. Any questions on that? How to treat strings, how to define strings? Okay, multiple assignments. So you can say x, y equals 32 and 4. Put the number 32 in x and the number 4 in y. This is pretty cool. So if line contains the string password and a colon hash, you can say line.split on the colon equals, you can store the password on the left side, which would go into password, and the hash on the right side, which would go into password. Does that make sense? Because I kind of explained that earlier. That'll come in handy when you're parsing out data. So,
and you can do that with any symbol, it's not just the colon.
Right, yeah, sorry guys. So line split, you can split it on however big you want. Sometimes, I guess if you're parsing HTML dirty like that, you can parse it on breaks, on tags, on pretty much anything. So that comes in really handy as well, especially for unstructured stuff. All right. So we can format strings in this way. %string, %s to represent whatever variable that is, turn it into a string and print that. With the format tags on the end. Strip, what it'll do is it'll strip, by default, it'll strip spaces off the end and line returns. If you take strip and use it this way, demonstrate something like this. Strip off 30. It'll strip off on either side the number, whatever you have inside there. So also there's an R strip and an L strip. Strip it off the right side, strip it off the left side. Okay, so it's not going to strip it off the right side because we've specified left. It's just some more things you can do to work with strings. Okay. Replace. It works kind of like we would expect it to. So text replace test with there. So replace the string in there with the word fail. That comes in handy as well. So and split. We already learned that one. Split on whatever string you specify. So you give a little bit of an example here. Come on, little buddy. Let's see what I I guess I'm not really using that in this script. Okay. So this small portion, just messed up using get. It's not going to let me make it any bigger. So basically what we have is a string, and I've got string here, then a space, then a dash, space dash, and then in brackets print another string and another string, and then the percentage sign. And so everything that comes after that, it's going to be a group of strings or a tuple to be the client address, the time date string, and the format, or the args that come after that. So what I'm doing is substituting each one of these in order for what's in here. Does that make sense, guys? Alright, so let's see, x equals 3. And we're going to go over these here in 1 second. Alright, so So that's how the substitution works. 3 strings at the end in the tuple, and they're substituted into these places. Now there are a lot of different ways that you can do this. So if you want to substitute an integer, you want it to show up as a floating point number. If you're giving, say, 76.3% of the passwords have been cracked, you know, to give sort of a status for your script. You throw a floating point number in there. You can also throw a number in front of the F to give it, you know, 2 or 3 decimal places. And the X would be integers and hex representation. So a few different ways you can have strings show up in there. Lists, I like these. So lists are just a list of variables. So you've got violin, cello, maybe the variable my current, whatever that is, floating point number, and an integer. So this list, you can reference it like this. So say this list is, if we say x equals, and then this list. Actually, we're going to do this. This is test. Throw an integer in there. Okay. And so what we've just done is created x, which is a list. So we go to type x, tells us a list. And that's how you can also use type to tell what type it is. So we can reference x, say x1. It's going to give us the second item in the list because it starts with 0. So item 0 is going to be the first guy out there. Right? And so this is always in order. You can always say 4x. So you can iterate through a list that way. Not incredibly complicated there, but it's just a collection of variables that you can index based on that. As an example, say this is the hand that you just got dealt. So if we go with hand 0, it's going to show us the 2 of clubs. Hand -1, it's going to show us the last in the list here, so queen of spades. So that's crazy helpful too if you're needing to, say, get rid of the last one or get the last one that was added to this list.
Is that specifically -1 or any negative?
Yeah, you can say -2, and it'll get you the second.
So you just count from.
That's correct. Yeah.
That is really handy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So :2 is going to start. Colon is the beginning here, so you're going to start here and go to 0, 1, 2. And it'll give you the second. You can also switch that around to say 1:, and it'll start off with the first one and give you everything to the end. This works a little bit different though. Let's see if I can demonstrate that. So okay, we've got x and test 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So we say that's going to work. Okay, so from 0 to 1, it's going to give you 0. It's not going to give you 1. So you're always going to want to count 1 up from that. Gosh, does that make any sense? That's one of the confusing things that they threw in here. It's having a JavaScript moment here. So everything from 2 on is just going to include 2. Yeah, some more. Let's append a couple more things here.
So it's including 2 and the rest of the array or the list.
Right.
Okay.
It's different with whichever we go. So x 1 up, it's going to give you the first value all the way up, but in reverse it doesn't work the same. You have to add them. That's what I'm trying to get across. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody? So if we're saying from here on, it'll actually give you from here on. But if we're saying from the start to here, let's see, we got 0, 1, 2. It's only going to give you, it's going to stop here and not show it. So that's just one of those quirks that you gotta work with it to remember. All right, so a couple more of these things. So you can actually step it as well. If you wanted to do every second one, it'll show you boom, boom, green 3 and queen of spades. Or if you want to do the negative one, somebody test that one out. Let me know what that does. Reverse D, that'll give you the reverse order of it. This comes in handy. It's kind of weird to say, to give specific instances of how a list and reversing the list or choosing every other one or the last one would be useful. But it comes in handy. It's like one of those things. It's like the go-to, like a hammer or a screwdriver. So, all right, so that's list. They can be lists of lists. They can be lists of dictionaries, just lists of things, or objects, or strings, or whatever. So this is actually kind of a weird one. String, here's a list, and I guess that only leaves the dictionary, so you see the dictionary on the right side. It's curly braces instead of brackets. But enough about lists. So if you want to iterate through a list, you can say for, say, item, or X or Y in L, which is our list. And this little guy will cause, for every iteration that it goes through, it'll cause the variable item to be filled with the next item in the list. So basically what this is going to do, it's going to go through this list, and it's going to say type. Remember type earlier? That's how it showed, hey, this is a list, or this is a dictionary, this is whatever, to get the type of object that that variable is. What we're doing is we're evaluating, does it equal a dictionary? So it's going to go through here, and it's going to say false, false. It's going to reach the dictionary and say true. So that's how we're programmatically finding out which one's the dictionary. All right, so tuples, they are like lists, but they're unchangeable. You can't come in and change the values of tuples. You can only reference them. So that's, to my understanding, that's really the only difference. You can't append or pop or add or remove anything to it from it. But you can, variables, you got your integer string and a list in there. So that's a tuple. And it has its uses. There's a reason why they have a whole different object that's not changeable. So, all right, dictionaries. So this is my favorite type here. Kind of cheesy, I know. But all right, so a dictionary is not very well represented up here. Okay, so when you're first designing a dictionary, you've got the curly braces there. That's how you say, okay, hero is going to be a dictionary. And so if you want to, I'm going to jump to this one. Okay, so the first entry in hero, you're going to have name, and the name of that hero is going to be Joe. All right, so if you come in here and say, you type that in on your command line, you just define the dictionary hero, and you've given it one entry, and that's the value of the entry. So if you come over here and say hero name, it's going to tell you, well, this guy's name is Joe, right? And if you go through keys, it's going to give you, so like name, age, it's going to give you all the first half of the entries, or the keys to that dictionary. This would be much better to demonstrate. So let's say x equals, let's go with hero. Okay, so that's our dictionary. And these are crazy important, storing data in here and being able to reference it later. So like hashes, you can store the hashes and where they were found, different properties that go along with it within these. Let's see.
Will that work for custom types too? If I create my own class?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not just something in there.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
So we've got this hero. Let's say hero name equals Joe. Okay. We can't just take a second. You see me type a lot of weird stuff in here, and I'm getting a lot of errors. So let's take a look at the errors for just a second. We're going to look at them in a little while, but what can we gather from this right here? So syntax error, invalid syntax. What's it trying to tell me? That'd be a fat figure something, right? And it's pointing to where that is. It's saying you forgot something, and I believe it's right there. Right? So the ability to look at an error and then tell exactly what it's indicating was wrong greatly speed up the process of prototyping and writing the script or doing whatever we're trying to do. So it pointed right here, and what I forgot here was the closing bracket to this. So I added it, and it's like, okay, you're fine. Did the same syntactical error up there. Let's go up. Yeah. So when I tried to say X append T, it says we get a name error, right? A little bit different there. Name T is not defined. Any third grader can tell you what that means, right? So it's not defined. It doesn't know what T is. So it's saying, hey, wait a minute. You didn't tell me what T is. How are you going to tell me to append it to that list? And I know these are kind of self-explanatory, but a lot of times I've seen guys and they'll be like, hey man, you help me figure this out. And you look through their history, and it's like, well, man, you're getting a type error here. And you're like, well, you know what? How do you fix that? Well, let's take a look at a type error. You know, it's telling you that you're using the wrong type. You know, just the logical process. It's important to kind of look at and understand what errors you're getting. All right. Let's back to our hero, right? So his name's Joe. Let's see. Let's give him an age. Say he's 30. It's going to be an integer for our hero. So you kind of see how this is building out. I guess in RAR we use this to a great extent. Say for each host has an IP. So you're going to have your object is this host IP equals 192.168.1.1. Right. So we just found this host. So host services is a list, you know, and then we're going to say host. So for every service that we say, we're parsing it in that file. We're filling out this dictionary. So we come across another service. We're going to append to that list HTTP on port. Yeah, you know what? Let's throw a tuple in there. HTTP. It's going great. And an integer for the second value. And so that's going to append that service on there. All right, so it's a little bit of practical application. This is the importance of these building blocks. This is how we can build them up to construct relevant things. I know the hero is not crazy relevant at this time. I guess if you're making a game, this would be pretty cool. You know, hero weapons, have that be a list. Mark 1 is equipped. You know, give him some stats or something. His attack is 15 or whatever. And let's see, we can go to to this. Let's see. Let's go back to hero here. Actually, here's what host looks like at this point, just if you're curious. Okay, so back to hero. Let's say his attack equals 15. Right, so say he does something, gets strong enough to we want to increment that. So hero ATK plus equals 1. Alright, so hero ATK, no huge surprise, it's 16. Alright, so you can treat this reference, Python will treat that reference as the object or the variable itself. In this case, the integer itself. Add 1 to it, so the hero's attack is now 16. And, you can kind of build this out. Hero weapons. He's got nothing, so let's append to that list. Give him a golf club. So that's dictionaries, and you can see how that would be pretty helpful building out your objects, storing data, parsing data. In my mmap parsers, anything I'm doing to parse XML, I'm always going to pull it into a dictionary of some sort, or if I'm working with passwords and hashes and stuff, usually that's a list of tuples, or something that let the weapon fit the battle there. The tool fit the purpose. All right. Yes, sir.
As you're declaring those, you blank them out at first, like hero, you set the curly brackets. Is that just good practice, or is it?
Well, thanks for bringing that up. A lot of times, if you're going to go into a loop and defining things, it's better to set it or define it in advance. You can do that, or you can just start in and say, you can define it like this, pre-populate some things. A lot of times I'll do that. If I know that a certain type of entry in my dictionary is going to be a certain way, I'll go ahead and fill it out like that, or just give it a skeleton so that I can just fill it in. We'll get into the catching errors thing here in a little bit. All right, so this is kind of different, but in order to delete an entry from a dictionary, reference it by its key. So up here we've got facts. An aardvark is a space alien creature, and Java is an arch nemesis. So that's our dictionary. And if we want to delete Java, it's a pretty good thing actually, delete out of facts, or just DEL facts Java, and that will totally do away with that second entry in our dictionary. So we're left with the fact that an aardvark is a space alien creature. So another way to deal with it. So back to our real world applications. I kind of got ahead of myself there and already mentioned this. If we're, say, we have a function called crack, and that's comparing hashes and passwords. We can go for each hash and password in hashes, run this function against the hash and password. You can dump DC hashes, test them against a hash list of known passwords, and you can identify weak passwords on your domain with a pretty quick Python script. So for host attributes, a lot of different ways we can use that. So data planning is huge. If most of the work that I do is either with an API controlling things or parsing things, mostly parsing. So planning how you're going to store that data and structure it so that you can get to it logically later is pretty huge. All right, so I know that was kind of rough. That was section 1. Let's see what we've got here. We've got about... That's weird. It's showing it up top and it's not showing it below. Here we go. Okay. All right. So let's see what we can do with this. All right. This is going to be a challenge, by the way. So here's the equation for converting an IP address into its decimal equivalent. All right. First octet times this, second octet times this. I can bring this up later, but that's the calculation. So what we want to do is we want to write a script that will convert the IP address 10101010 into its decimal equivalent. And let's say we got 5 minutes for that. Next one. Okay. Any questions? Anybody got anything so far? Thanks. These donuts for me for the class.
For the first break, so you can have your sandwich. I'm going to take one box there to the chapter.
What? Well, thanks, guys. No better time than now.
Okay.
Donuts for everybody? Just trying to save my life.
Yeah, so nice to meet that.
Yeah.
I won't have it one.
I'll bring you a sandwich in, man.
Sorry?
I'll go bring you a sandwich in.
No thanks. Well, this can be an open conversation, guys. I know this isn't something that we're all used to.
What's the, I'm sorry, what's the command to clear the console?
Clear the console?
Yeah.
Python console?
Python? I think kernel.
Exit out and then open it up again.
Clear it, yeah.
Oh, okay. Right.
There's probably a better way. So I know we'll definitely be using the split command and turning each portion of that list that comes out of that into an integer, multiplying it and then turning back to a string, if that helps.
Yeah, not having a reference, a quick reference to the functions is the problem.
Yeah. So we've got our int, and then in parens, if you want to turn a variable into an integer, str, turn it into a string. Dot split, after a variable will split it up, and remember you can put inside the parens after the split whatever you want to split it by. So in this case it'd be the dot. While that's going on. So the result of that split, if it's successful, right, it's always going to be a list.
Should you bring back up the equation?
Absolutely.
When you're making strings, do single or double quotes make any difference?
Double quotes usually generally is what I default to, unless the content dictates otherwise.
Okay, so in some languages it means different things.
Right. No, I understand.
I need 1 second. Okay, here's this is for a T-shirt and a sticker. What is the airspeed velocity of a laden swallow?
African
You got it.
Well,
That was actually I was a navigator, and that was actually an instructor pilot asked a student pilot that question. And the student pilot was like, what? Okay, so how many were in for the Intro to Linux class yesterday? Okay, so has everyone else had Linux or done Linux, understand Linux? Okay. So to rerun the last command, what is a shortcut that you can use?
Bang bang.
Who said that? There you go. Okay. There'll be more. You're welcome. There'll be more. So, sorry.
Just like earlier, man.
Yeah.
All right. So what did we get? Does anybody have a solution or part of a solution? Come on, who's going to be a guinea pig? All right, I'll be the guinea pig. So this is what I came up with. It's a little lengthy, but you could definitely. So it started out by saying, this is my variable, the IP, and then I used multiple assignments to say, because the result of this is going to be a list, right? IP.split. It's going to give me a list with all 4 of these as strings. And so octet 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I just took octet 1 equals, I turned it into an integer so that I could multiply it by this. Octet 2, so I did that with the entire thing there. Added them all together and turned it into a string so that we could print it. I guess that wasn't really necessary specifically. So then that'll print out the numeric value of that IP. So what'd you guys get? I mean, don't be afraid to say, hey, yeah, this is how I try and fail, because you're talking to the king of it here. The only reason I know how to do it is because I've tripped over myself more times than I can count. So, any thoughts? Anybody do it a different way? All right, well then just take this one down. Yeah. So,
I'm building a for loop, but I'm failing. If that's okay.
well, we'll take a look.
Fine. Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Oh, hey, that's good. All right. So this is a freebie. So what we're going to do next time is it's actually going to be a challenge where I guess we could split up into teams, but you'll actually get points based on if you get the answer right, or if you just have a partial answer to the question. We'll record the scores, and then I've got my friend, the Nigerian prince, for 2 pairs of socks. Please send monies, right? So, well, let's just do it this way. We don't have to split them into teams. So, did anybody have part of an answer? Did anybody come up with anything for that? It's worth a pair of socks, man. Let me show me something. You have an error? Well, what error did you get? Okay, invalid syntax. Okay. Anybody else? What you got, man?
I go as far as stuffing it into an array and then broadcasting it into the computer up there.
Gotcha, yeah. So what kind of error were you getting?
I didn't finish typing out before we put the answer up, so
That's good job. So any idea what type of answer, what kind of?
it was going to end up being a concatenation of strings.
Oh, would? Okay.
If I would have casted it as integers.
Here's your pair of socks, man.
Oh, thank you.
It was a good try, valiant effort.
So I'm just a string reference.
I just didn't give you enough time, I guess.
That's a string.
How many socks you got now?
Okay. You need a pair of socks, Jeff?
No, okay. Underwear maybe, socks.
His IP. It thinks you're trying to call IP. All right.
What's the answer to the puzzle?
Answer the puzzle.
Like the number.
Well, I don't know. You guys tell me.
I got 1743009.
174?
Yeah.
Yeah, 168.
All right. What we're doing is, can anybody tell me what may be a practical use for this type of thing?
Maybe you want to hide the IP address for some reason. You're passing it. You have to do something else to it if you really want to hide it.
Yeah. We have a base 64 encrypted, right? Kidding. So what's cool about this is, and as soon as I get this up, it'll make sense. You can actually, you know how hard it is to sort by IP address? Just, yeah, so, wow, nice. I'm not sure why I accepted that.
Oh, because it's legit.
Oh,
01 is a.
turn it into one, right? Okay. So you can take that IP number and you can actually sort the IP. I do it raw to, you know, how it has the CSV output. If you want to order it and say, here's your report, here's a list of IPs. You don't want to just, you know, hodgepodge, right? You want to order it by it. So I've got a function that goes through and it checks it, converts the IP into this numeral format, IP number format. I forget what they actually officially call it, but you can order it by that because the way that a computer thinks, it's going to say 172.16.108, and then it's going to say 172.16.100, 100. Well, it's going to say 100 comes before 8 because it's just going to get to the 8 and say, okay, well, it's a higher number than that. But this would be the solution for that, to convert it to the IP number. Probably not as slowly as I'm doing it here. Wow, yeah, I'm bad.
You keep reassigning the same thing. So.
Did you say I need to shut up when I'm programming? That's a good idea.
I can't talk when you type either.
Do it
I'm
great.
not going to say that.
Appreciate it. All right, and turn that into an integer. All right, for those of you that are somewhat familiar with Python 3, is there anything we've done here that, did I get the right answer there?
I was missing 7, so I got 168430090.
I'm sure I screwed something up in there.
Yeah,
first one.
Your first assignment was 256, not.
Yeah, you reassigned
Yeah,
A1.
you got weird stuff assigning weird things.
All right, let's go back to 01. Maybe we can get this right. Maybe not.
Closer.
Hey, come on now.
Sorry.
The teacher's supposed to be right. Supposed to be on top of it.
And change that to.
Using my history. All right. Long and short of it is, you can order the IPs to that. This is just a solution to that predicament. So when you're coming out with your input, your nmap output, the report from your parsing script, you can order them by IP address. Okay. So Oh, looks like we've got one more thing here. Okay. And this will be for, I guess, the t-shirt, right? So the guy with the most complete answer get a t-shirt. And we'll have a couple of other notes as well. So come up with 3 ways to do the following. In the string, this here is a pretty long sentence. Replace the word sentence with string. I don't think you guys will need 5 minutes to do this, but. Did you already do it?
No, let's listen to the movie.
Oh.
Great.
Anybody got something already?
Is that your computer?
I don't know.
Do we remember which function was used to replace objects in a string or string within a string?
There you go.
Did you get it?
We got one. We got one.
Awesome. Did you?
Yes.
How am I doing, man? Got any questions?
Hey, you're fine. It'd be nice if I could have my laptop on phone.
Yeah. I got mine if you.
No, what you can do is give me your deck, and I can go through this on my own sometime.
Cool. You got admits going on.
Yeah?
Rougher thought up here, but doing this.
You're doing fine.
Does anybody already have 2 ways to do it? Time's up. All right, so who has one way to do this? You guys have one way? Anybody have two? Almost. Anybody? Let me see your second way there. Oh, well, first, how did you do it?
I did string dot replace, parentheses, and string dot string.
Wonderful. That's good. What about you, man? Same story?
Same thing.
Okay. What was your second?
Split it. Change the last one.
Nice.
Perfect.
How long was that? That's pretty smart. So what he did was split it, and he's going to rejoin it. So when you split it, it's going to take it out of the running.
But if you split it, what you split it on? Space?
Yeah.
How you gonna put it back together with those spaces back there?
Can you split on a string? Can you split on the
It's
wall
gonna be
space?
one. When you rejoin it, the
These
one
are good questions. Let's go into that.
space.
That's good. Okay, so. All right. So what happens? Let's just try it, man. I mean, we have all the bits that are disposable, right? They don't cost. Let's just split, because by default, split's going to split on a space. So here you have this, and you could have jumped on the internet and found out about or just said, gosh, x -1 equals. Sentence. That's interesting. Right, x equals x split. Wow. Okay, and here's a snazzy one. Join X. This will join a list on spaces. So constructs it, but puts it back into a sentence. If you want to say join it on Buttercup, so put Buttercup in between there. If you've got a variable, throw that in there. I mean, pretty much anything you can think of. So.
I think Justin deserves something.
Yeah. All right. So can we agree that the video guy kind of gets that because he had the join? We had guys that had one. He had 1.5.
It's working now.
Good. Good. So what do you guys think? T-shirt for video guy?
Yeah.
Give somebody else.
Video guy.
Not him.
Video guy.
Anybody but him.
You deserve it, man. Fine. Well done. You guys. I got candy. You guys interested in Snickers or Skittles, anything like that? All right.
They got donuts.
I got donuts.
Yeah. You should throw those out.
They're right there.
Try to catch one. All right.
Look like jelly.
So here's some of the answers that I came up with previously. Here's our variable. Of course, we use replace there, split and rejoin it. RE sub. It's a regular expression. You could substitute the word sentence for string. A few different ways to do that. All right. So with that, let's see. If you guys want to grab a donut, go at it. I think it's going to take about 5 minutes to try to get things in my mind together here. Take about 5 minutes. Any questions at all, please throw them at me. Grab me a donut.